Hi. So right now what we're going to be talking about is selecting your objects and the placement of your objects for our first value drawing with white objects. Um, Now we're going to go through some steps that will seem a little unnecessary at the beginning, but this is to sort of figure out really placement and such, so that we can continue our structure drawing, and then we'll talk about the specifics of shading. So our two objects that we want, one is we want a white box. Now if you happen to have a white box, that's great, but a lot of us don't. So what I'd like you to do is to take a box or a book and to wrap it like you would a gift. Now what we want to do is, I wrapped mine with drawing paper, so you've got drawing paper, so that's easy. But what I did was, when I was wrapping it, I kind of creased this a little bit. I want to get the corners really crisp for that. The drawing paper tends to be really thick, so that's hard. If you happen to have wrapping paper that you can use, that might be better. If you turn it inside out and it's white, that'd be great. And then we need a white cylinder. So my suggestion is toilet paper. It works relatively well. It's relatively round. I kind of massaged it a bit to make sure it would stay round. What we want to do in terms of positioning is have our box on the left, our cylinder on the right. Now, we want to be able to see the tops of the cylinder and of the box. Now remember, we want to be able, and well, with the box we want to see our three sides, but we want to make sure that we can see the tops of both. And remember, the reason for that is really that we always want to draw what we can see. So if you can't see the top of your cylinder, change how you are oriented with your objects. Objects need to go down, you need to go up, anything like that. So then we also need a light, okay? So here's the light I'm using. Now this is in the studio, so obviously I don't necessarily expect you to have such a fancy-dancy light as this. I'm just trying to set this up here a little bit differently so we can see everything. So what you can use is, if you have a desk lamp, that's great. If you have a regular lamp that you can kind of set up next to it and tilt so the light comes here, we want to use direct lighting. That's very, very key. Now, when I set these guys up, what I did was, I put them next to each other. I'm trying to just move this back far enough so you can see a little bit of what I'm going to do. But then I moved the light around, and I tend to pick up the light and just kind of move it to see where the best shadows are. Okay. What we want to do is we want to have this from the side, not from the back too much, certainly not from the front too much. We want to get that real feeling of going light to dark on our objects. Now, I set this up, and I want you to set up yours as well, so that your cylinder throws some shadow on the box, as you can see right there. Now, the reason I'm having you do all of this is so that you can figure out how you want to place your objects. We really do, it would be great if you can to set up your objects so that you can leave them, so you can come back to them. You really don't want to be resetting them up over and over again. Put a white piece of paper underneath, because that's going to be key as well in terms of how we do our shading and stuff like that. So I think that is about all we need to talk about here. So once you get to this point and you've got your objects here, we're going to start working on our structure. Now, when we do our lighting, we don't want any ambient light, okay? You want to have your curtains closed. If your curtains can't block out the light well enough, maybe just draw at night. But we want to just have this one light source. But when we're doing our structure, feel free to turn on all your lights because we want to be able to see our object perfectly. Obviously, like there are parts of this that are a little bit hard to kind of figure out just because of how dark it is, like on the left hand side of the box. So that is that. Thank you so much.